Welcome back. Welcome back. 14 minutes ago, 13 minutes now. We did it. We broke through the trend line on the small caps that could. It's like Thomas the Train Engine on steroids, climbing the hill. We are coming into close with quite the momentum, melting up through lunch, which is to be expected after we didn't get a clear break. We were looking for a 25 basis move, sort of above any sort of supply. We were getting it in here. I mean, this is a 20 basis candle. I mean, it was breaking, but oops, let me put this back. But this is certainly the move we were looking for. It's happening here at close. I talked about 1%. We'd put another 1% on from where we were, wherever you want to call it, wherever I said that. It looks like that's going to be true. So that's what it looks like so far. Now, there's just a ton of price movement, right? I mean, there's so many tickers that have taken off since the open. We looked at, maybe 50 tickers or so from this open. So it's not like we haven't seen them. I mean, if we just let me move this out of the way. Take a look through here. You've got there's too many opportunities. So again, you start to go into a little bit of opportunity cost mode of what should I be buying? What should I be doing? Am I in the right position? Even the S&P, NASDAQ, it looks like those are coming into some bid here at close, but still, do you want to be in tech or do you want to be over here? Right? I mean, it should be clear. Should be completely clear, so we're not going to kid ourselves of where the money's going, where the flows are. This is the place to be. I mean, it doesn't get much better than being a part of this movement, being a part of it for a while now, just continuing to capture it, right? So we'll see how many points continue to get put on. Depending on how far above the trend line we sort of close at, that price is going to open up on the trend line. This is one of those situations where it's not like you open up higher tomorrow, right? You don't make this large of a move and then open higher. This is one of those, you're going to open on the trend line tomorrow and then decisions are going to be made. I talked a little bit about when you look at the S&P, NASDAQ, you're going to open lower. That's just, it's the reality of the situation. You're likely going to open lower. I find it hard that you're going to, unless this is such a, we've only put 0.5% on the S&P. That might actually allow it to open a little, break even or higher, because it's going to basically go chase the small caps, and the Hang Seng was break even today. So possibly tech gets a boost tomorrow to catch up, but I don't feel very confident about the bid coming in on the tech side when this is happening. This is one of those situations. Call it as you see it. This is where the money is. Why bet against it? There's almost no reason to. I think there's a few areas. I wanted to bring up a few charts. Something like TME here. This has continued to do very well, right? We see some opportunities in something like this going to the upside in terms of China. I think, again, all Chinese tickers are continued to be on the table. Even BABA here. BABA, obviously more tech-oriented, so tech's not doing well. So, of course, you're not getting this here. But even something like this, I would expect to have a bounce back, not because I was saying it should have gone before. It obviously got the tech axe, where the Hang Seng decided, no, we're going to devalue. And so you saw, again, you can see it, the difference that happens here in terms of who's doing well. Europe did nothing today, right? It's all us here with value today. And that's going to make Asia and Europe a little bit more bullish tomorrow. And so looking through some of the top of the list tickers, it's basically the same that we saw before. We're coming back. We didn't see the AMRX chart actually break out, so your decisions are being made at this trend line at close. FLGT, a lot of this, you're just going to continue to use your rules-based trading of, okay, is there a reversal? No? Okay, I'll just keep pushing. HTBX, I talked about in chat, 826 was that level. VIR is continuing. CLVS, a lot of these healthcare-esque bios are continuing to be very hot. In terms of how to use them and trade them, a lot of it is just opportunity cost. You're trading one, taking profit on one to move to another, sort of stop and goes on every single one of these charts. See if we can get some. CHS was a great trade today. Again, converging levels of supply are hot right now. So anything that's sort of coming into these levels is important. Edit, I talked about at this open. This chart is going to put a big move on, right? Who wants to make a bet that tomorrow, if this is going to close here, that this is you're gonna have a big candle somewhere in here, whether it's tomorrow or the next day. It's almost a guarantee to happen, right? It's one of those probability things that it's such a high probability of happening that it's going to happen just because people are going to bet it's going to happen, right? So keep that edit chart in mind. That's a tough trade still, but something you got to do. Again, all of these bios that continue to do well, not capturing any of these type of moves that are very obvious. You got to get a part of those. You got to be a part of those. Again, this is so many charts. There's just so many charts that continue to make moves. Again, home builders have done very well today. This type of position, you push, right? You can't fool around with this position, especially if you're trading the leverage with the nail chart. You got to just push that. Don't screw around with it. Pot stocks have continued on the day. It looks like we are going to continue that trend. We're certainly on pace for it. Those are must pushes. Let's see. PGen, of course, also one of the bios that we look for. That continues. Let's see. Everything is almost in that same spot, right? That break, all these breaks that you see through here. ARMK is a good semi to put on as well if you want to switch it up. These highs that are being broken, we talk about this chart, this is one of those breakouts, that upside breakout that's a little bit more volatile, that you actually get a little bit more points on since it's not consolidating anything. Those are aggressive trades to definitely get on. Out, we talked about coming up to the trend line. Here it is. It looks like you're getting a bounce here come close. That's certainly one of those trades that you're deciding whether or not you're putting it on at open or not, or if you're already in the position, then you don't care because you'll wait for it to break down if it does. Net continues. NVIDIA, obviously, this has been a great trade here. You just got to take it. Whether you take it in here, it's okay to... Obviously, we wanted to take the trade. It didn't really happen here. So from open, the points are coming in. We're hot on semis. We knew that AMD, for instance, was bearish. But as soon as something different happens, right? We had this tightening, and we talk about the tightening that leads to a move. As soon as you see it, it's relative to the price movement you've seen, it should stand out. And that's why when you, for instance, people that are just listening, you see someone in chat type in a ticker, it's probably because something is happening different from what we've seen, right? Look at this price action in here, and then look at this open. It's almost too obvious that, again, these areas where you get into something where something's tightening, the likelihood of something happening just because other people are also seeing it and they start to bet, all of that betting is going to cause it to move, right? And so this is where it doesn't, everyone can see it, right? Everyone sees it and everyone's taking part. And so these type of things, especially if you got it on the NVIDIA move, is important. And again, this is leading from the semis that we're doing very well to begin with, right? UMC, this move, we should, these type of moves are common and these are difficult. You got to stick with this position, right? You get this big move and then you want to take profit immediately. How many times have we seen that you've got to just continue this position, right? Especially when it's just testing a trend line. It's going to continue. It's going to continue. You see the whole market pushing. There's a little bit of demand going elsewhere. You can't get thrown out of these positions. Continue to push those. Those look great. SunPower, we're looking to test that trend line here come tomorrow. Looks like that's going to be a tomorrow sort of thing. We got to be careful with that position in terms of you need to break it. You can't just sit here underneath the trend line. We'll trade underneath here, but I think in this type of position, you got to get back on top of where the trend line isn't here and test this high over here like the rest of the tickers are doing. You can't be just sitting down here. So if it is, then it's going to be consolidating, right? And we don't want to be a part of a consolidation. So we'll see how that goes. NEO, we talked about earlier. We're going to keep this position on, but we certainly need to see this break at least tomorrow because, again, this is you don't want to be sitting in a position that's possibly just consolidating. Tesla's a good example of this. Tesla's still consolidating. If you enter down here, then you're fine, but there's still a lot of vibes of consolidation happening in those type of areas that, it's you just wait for the breakout on those charts. It's a little bit too much money to be sitting in something like Tesla and it's not moving, right? There's too many. Look at all these. I mean, there's 100 different charts coming through. STC is going to be awesome for tomorrow, I would say. And they even said today you could put it on today. You just wait for it. There's too many charts to be a part of, to not trade them. So one thing I want to mention is travel here at close. I want to see if any of these break come close. I mean, you should just keep pushing these positions. And then the question here is, we've got 2.5 minutes. Do some of these allow for close entries? Because you might miss a move tomorrow on some of these charts based on what we've seen. Not the ones that have already made a big move today, but I mean, again, you had to be a part of these trades. This is just, it's not okay. Not to, it's too much. F is a good example of something that this is probably a closed trade right here. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a good point. We were talking about it earlier. You have a trend line. You have the horizontal here. This is one of those trades you just want to put on. Again, this is something we've been talking about nonstop. Again, you can't see it because it's the daily, but the daily's right here through the trend line. You got to be able to take something like this. You got to be able to take something like that. You can wait until open. But you have downside protection. You have protection from these two levels here, that you've got an uptrend going into close. One of those positions that with EVs you want to be putting on it, but where is that flow going? We know that these tickers, Ford and GM, for instance, are considerably behind Tesla, right? They're considerably behind, so we know that they want to catch up. So this is where you think about these trades. This is obviously still, you have time to it's consolidating. The other charts are completely different, right? Completely different. If you take a look where they are, completely different. Similar aspect, but take a look at the positioning here and the way that this turned. We talked a lot about how this did not consolidate. It said, see ya. So you don't want to second guess sort of this trend. Obviously, you got a little bit of rejection here today, but that's just due to the fact that small caps and value are just absurd, right? So, yep, certainly take that. And again, even if it opens lower, right? It's not going to hurt you, right? It's not going to hurt you there. So, one of the, sometimes we talk about you can miss the points for the safety of entering at open, which is almost always true. But there's certainly times where if you've got two levels of supply coming through, there's no reason not to be taking trades like that, especially on something that we're very bullish on, right? Something very bullish. Let's see, we got 10 seconds, 13 seconds. Let's see. I think I'm good. We're good. 5 seconds. Gonna continue everything, not second guessing anything. Let's bring it over. Here is the close. 2.5 on the Russell. SPY got some extra points at close, 72 basis points on the day. Some extra bid coming in here, tech related. So again, what happens at close? Well, the big boys want to come and make trades, and guess what? There's not enough liquidity on that small cap area in that value space if they didn't make trades. So here's where they go. Let's see if that helped any of our positions. Nope. Zoom didn't get any extra. That's unfortunate. Let's see if I get some on eBay. Nothing there. Let's see. Can we see where this... Okay, Apple. I talked about Apple over here from open. This is an interesting spot because, again, we'll do an overview. But just to talk about this for a second, we talked about how money doesn't go into tech when there's such low volatility, right? And the place to be right now is value. So you don't want to be in mega caps that, again, you're not getting any value out of this. This is not the trade for you right now. This is still an interesting spot, though, because, for instance, this trade is so far behind. It's actually pretty far behind, even though I had a very good time over here in December. We know it's actually, in terms of like the time, it lost a lot of time. So when you compare it to something like Google, look at where Google is, right? This type of trade, this is that high that we just saw in Apple. If you just look at the comparison of these charts, see this consolidation in the way that we're still right here at that high. And then again, look at Google. Google is significantly above that high, that all-time high that we had back in September. this type of timing that we see, we know that mega caps are going to catch up, and it's going to cause, you're going to get that momentum trade where you go long on momentum and short the other side that's not doing any momentum. This is where mega caps come in. This will stop moving and Apple will catch up. These type of things. There's going to be opportunities there, and we need to continue to be ready for those for when volatility does come back in, which, again, we're doing great here on this move, but now that we've entered this space, shit's going to get going very fast. So let's talk about this for a second. If you weren't here at Open, talked about if you break this trend line, you've now entered an entirely new bullish phase. Breaking through this level, you've completely transcended sort of this bullish move. We've entered a whole new level of supply. You are going to get significant points quickly. It's going to happen very quickly. And the thing to remember is all of this, what this is tracking is that this is small caps, and this is tracking value and some of those tickers that are more economic oriented around sort of the economy. I shouldn't say economic, but economy oriented, right? Those are all those retracing charts that we talk about as value. There is a lot of room to move. So up to this trend line is 10%. I would say that you're likely going to get 10% up here before your next correction. I would say 10% on this chart before your next correction. Now, I absolutely think you'll get a correction at some point, and again, we'll be able to see it. Just like when we saw this consolidation here, we'll be able to see it. So with that, what I just said, with the asterisk being if you confirm it tomorrow. If you don't confirm this move tomorrow, then of course not. We always talk about you have to confirm the trend line as support. We didn't do that. So if we open on support tomorrow and trade to the upside, then absolutely. Before your next correction, I'd say you get about 10% on this chart. That's just, you're going to rally. You're going to continue to rally because you have no supply up here. And again, sort of the next level of this trend line is from back in here. If we just zoom out a little bit, take a look where this chart is. This is the prior channel, and we transposed all the way over here on value, which is why this rally has been so big. If you look at it in comparison to the S&P is sort of a part of this channel the whole time. And again, you're looking for the S&P to also get back into its prior channel. And we've talked about this move. This is your SPY 400 right up in here. If it's trading on that channel, which it looks like it's going to do, it's obviously going to need some help from tech. Tech has a lot of points to catch up, though, in terms of mega caps, so entirely possible. Even with a liquidity event, it could help. I'm talking about like a liquidity event where you actually lose liquidity, so everyone wants to go back to tech in terms of volatility as well. So you could also get, even if there's a little bit of selling on value, this is a much larger majority of the market in terms of cap size. So if mega caps are doing fine, then this is going to push the market, right? So sort of the worst case scenario here is that everything rotates back into tech, which is not a bad situation in terms of the bull case. So you're sort of, that's where now that you're in this new level of supply. If we confirm that tomorrow, it's again, I said it last week when we finally started on Thursday, switch the mindset from short term. If you don't get into position now, you're going to miss it, right? You have to capture it now, because even if you saw it today, a lot of those option prices are expensive. They're expensive because everyone is speculating well past where this is right now. So if you didn't already get positions, yeah, you can go buy stuff, but guess what? It's going to be expensive because nobody is thinking that price should be back down here. And that's where we were entering. So just think about sort of this timeline. Look at the amount of points that have happened. I just want to put into perspective when we entered some positions down here. This has only been 1 week plus now today. This is over 10%. That's 11% from when we were here. Right? Think about how quickly this just happened. And again, if you price watched and you didn't capture it in those days that sort of price was moving and we were shaking up, you should have at least been able to short term. And over here, you got to get the longs. If you're now over here and you're now questioning, well, should I get in now? You just got to do something, right? You just got to do something. It's not that situation where you just put all your money in and buy everything. You still need to be positioning the correct way, which again is through value. You can't just go buy Facebook and pray that Zuck is going to save you. right, and poke you on Facebook, that's probably not going to happen. You gotta go where the money's flowing, and it's been too obvious. It's been too obvious. You got to get involved in here. There's still a lot of chances. I brought up the bio plays. Bio has offered a lot of chances. Travel is going to continue to offer chances. So those of you that like to play around with, Death Boat and the meme tickers, you can still get involved over here because you're going to have a chance. Banks, again, banks. I mean, I've talked about it, and it's going to continue, and you've got to get involved. You got to get involved over here. There's too many opportunities that have come from this situation that I think the whole earnings thing, it just, for whatever reason, I think it shakes everyone up. I'm not specifically talking about anyone here, but I think it does shake people's mindset of what you should be doing. They get way too interested about earnings, while there's too many other things going on, or like the GME trade. Remember how I kept saying, stop or ignore what's happening here because you're missing the bigger picture of what's happening. So if you spend all your time thinking about this whole meme economy thing, we were entertained, we took part, but there was a time to be entertained and then a time to go back to work and make some money. And guess what? People that have been busy over here wasting their time have missed, like I just said, an 11% move from the other Friday. I mean, it's just unacceptable if you miss this move, right? This is where you have to get that profit now. And so, again, we're expecting a lot of points to come from this. You get confirmation tomorrow, you're going to get a lot of points. Let's go to macros real quick. Take a look at what's going on in that profit section. The dollar here, I talked about, you've got this sort of, the pattern we had. You get the converging trend lines as you extend them. It's going to be really interesting to see if now that close has happened, if you're going to get this to break down a little bit more. This is usually where that dollar starts to fall, is come close, because when all that buying's happening in the market, it usually won't move this because it hasn't sort of digested the move yet. It's going to be interesting to see if this comes before the next candle here. This, we've talked about, it has zero correlation one way or the other, it seems right now, other than being risk on both ways. We still want to follow it though and see what the trajectory is, because if it's going down, that means value is significantly going to be going up. If this is falling, then that's, no matter what the situation, it's good for value. So again, we're going to watch that. I'm going to bring you over to volatility real quick as well. Again, this has turned a bit, and we expect it to sort of fumble itself around. This sort of thing with volatility, again, there's a lot of different things going on. We know there's a lot of put positions out there with high IVs. We need to be mindful of those folks that are hedging a lot. There's a lot of hedging because when you get into something like this, like institutions pushing something like this, you're exposing yourself to a lot of volatility that spot VIX does not actually calculate, because again, it's going through S&P. So when institutions are going long through this type of idea, and again, this is not just small caps, value all together, you're exposing yourself to volatility that's not being shown in the market, because the VIX will not increase as this is happening because it's too correlated to the downside. So they're doing a lot of hedging, and we know there's a lot of hedging going on. So we need to also be mindful of that. Those days where there's take profit, they're going to be larger. It's going to be like over here where you get a take profit day where you lose like 2%. But you can't be shitting yourself when that's happening, right? So if you're pushing a long position, these type of things you got to maneuver around. So that's something that we need to be prepared for. You need to know now if you're in a position whether or not you're going to be willing to hold through a 1%, a 2% pullback on one day that could then the next day just be recovered, right? You need to know right now what you're going to be doing with those positions. So think about that probably tonight, because again, tomorrow, if you don't confirm this move and you're in these type of positions, then you're going to want to know what you should be doing. You don't want to have it be open and then you're down 1% and then you're like, okay, well, everything's fine. And then you lose another percent and then you're like, should I be doing something here? I don't know. Should I sell these and buy more somewhere else? Like these type of things, usually if you just look beforehand, you already have a plan. You know what to do. So it's going to be important because, again, these moves are coming quick. They're coming very quick. I don't want anyone, sitting in the position and not knowing. Now, in terms of this move, again, I think that if you're opening lower on tech, you're going to get, I mean, the thing is here, I do expect this to open lower. What I'm trying to figure out is how much does this affect sort of that value side? If S&P and NASDAQ are going to open lower, which this candle technically should open as lower, I think you get a bit of a stop date tomorrow in terms of overall. It could rotate, so it could be rotation if those open lower, and it could rotate over to here, and then that's where you see it in sort of like airlines and shit like that. Is that, think about this move, you get some money coming out of megas, and they jump over here into sort of this. It is a bit of an obvious trade, and so you're going to get some momentum and hype on this type of space. And again, now you get more stimulus news about this. Think you're going to get more coming through. So we'll see. We're going to see. Brian mentioned Zynga. Looks like we're up 5.5% here after hours. This again has been a nice trade. I don't know. I'm pretty sure we put new trend lines on this chart here. I'm guessing we have a screenshot of it somewhere. Not sure where those are. Again, this move that we've been seeing, we've been talking about a lot. This volatility move, price trades up, comes down, but just pivots off it. It doesn't even try to consolidate it. It just continues. We've talked about it, and you're looking for the break here, that local high break. I typed in a lot of tickers at close. The ones that were making these type of moves here didn't even realize that Zynga had earnings. But again, it doesn't really matter if it does or not, right? Let's take a look. What do we got in the profit section? Oh, look at these gains. Brian with the 432. Matt with the 1.17%. That's a big one right there. C Trader with the 406. Tiger with the 666. Yikes. That's some demonic numbers right there. 9% for Crisp. CRTTR. We're going to just start naming letters out here. Very nice. Matt says, big money I am. Very nice. Those are good numbers, guys. I do want to mention our meme trade because, again, meme economy is a thing, but it is what you make it. Our meme economy is looking very good. Free Willy is in his jump right now. So, again, this jump that Free Willy's making above the pier, above the rocks, when is he coming down? We don't know. That little guy continues to put the points on. This type of trade, I think, is, again, it's one of the best examples of you can take a meme. I mean, there is nothing fundamental about this trade, right? You know there's nothing good about this trade. But what is there is the technical side of things. That, again, if you understand where the levels are, you understand the trend, and you understand what the price is actually doing, and you're just following price, you can make money on a trade like this. You could literally just be primarily a SeaWorld trader. Imagine that. SeaWorld Entertainment. Free Willy. You could just trade this because the technicals are all that's being traded. So this type of move, I'm just pointing it out because there's a lot of trades that are happening right now they're just sort of full on trend trading charts that they may not be putting a ton of points on, but they're marginal trades that the underlying might make 3-4%, but then on the options, that's actually like 40-50% for that move. Those type of charts are the ones that sneak under the radar that are perfect trades to be putting into any positions, right? You get up to 10 positions or something, 20 positions, and some of those are being made up of some of these charts that all that's happening, a couple percent a day, continuing a trend, right? We have a lot of charts that look like that, right? They just continue their trend, going up. You want to be a part of moves like that. I think TIBA here tomorrow, I just want to mention, this chart probably blows up tomorrow, just not downwards, but to the upside. I think there's about 100 different lines on this chart. You can't even see them. But if you just zoom in over here, that's where the move's coming. We do have a little bit more room in terms of where we're looking for price to be. It is I mean, we've got the perfect target down here, but that looks like more's coming. Let's see. We talked about so much at open. Anybody have any questions? Something to look at. Something to look at before I start to go on a long spiel about all kinds of random shit, because we don't have much direction other than the fact that we got what we looked for. This is happening. You got to be buyers here. You can't be, again, imagine being sellers over here. Just imagine being a seller here and telling all your friends that you're a seller over here. and then every day you cry because you're a perma bear, and there's nothing cute about it. RVP. I saw you mention RVP earlier. I came up to the trend line here today. I think we mentioned this a little earlier, the trend line today. Look at this tightening, though. This certainly looks, what's this at? It's at 1891 right now. Let's see. This still is fine. It's still going to open, it looks like, above this. That's a lot of tightening that, this move, I mean, we've already reached the target here. I mean, this move over here was obviously a pretty big move here. I would say that this is very good for the upside still. This is it's one of those consolidations that it's consolidating towards the upside, right? You've got this, let's see if we can get the trend line in here. Not a good way to see it. But first of all, we did have this sort of tightening in here, right? Today, price broke out of that. You have to call this a bullish move. You have to call that a bullish move. Now, where price is now at 1891, that's still above where this trend line is. So if you actually just extend this here, if you look at where this price is, 1891 is up in here. That's still going to be higher than the low of today, and it's still above this trend line, which is what we would use of understanding that this tightening here that led to a bullish move, that any prices above this line here would still be bullish. And so, especially since you do have this trend line that we would expect through here, which, again, you're trading in this channel. This move still looks pretty bullish. I'm not sure what that after hours action is. Does anyone know what that is? Do I just not have earnings on and it's got earnings? No earnings. Okay, it wasn't earnings. Just some after hours action. I wouldn't worry about the after hours action. Again, that's a lot of price movement. It definitely looks bullish. If you're in that position, it certainly looks like it's continuing. But again, you can see the tightening that happened in here. This is price. See where the price wants to come into? Price wants to just come where supply is converging, right? That looks like a very good bullish consolidation to the upside. So FSL making moves. I mean, again, I don't like this chart at all, but it does continue to trend to the upside. And I talked about it over here that as soon as it broke back out, I said, okay, obviously that's not going anywhere. Or excuse me, that I meant towards the short side. We shorted it over here, and then as soon as it broke back out, I said, okay, that's not going down. So this has continued. This is certainly a height base, though. Height base, but you are getting a good enough trend in here that you can start to trade all these breakouts, right? All of these consolidations that keep happening, right? Those consolidations, this tightening through here, right? All of these different type of moves continue to happen. Charts that start to turn into this start to become tradable, right? So over here, it's very difficult to do anything. Very difficult to do anything even short. Over here, you start to see the consolidation happen. But anything up here, all breakout. This candle is going to lead into what? It's going to lead into another one of these candles like this. It's going to come back down, consolidate, and likely continue, right? Because the overall trend is very bullish. So it's an interesting chart, and the fact that it continues to get so much. Was it still one of the most? No, there's too many other dumb trades going on right now for it to have the most volume. But it's continuing. McKee's OCGN, obviously props. We're doing pretty well up here. We'll see how this continues tomorrow. Again, he's in control. So if he loses all the money, he loses all the money. So it's up to him how he wants to do that trade. I would get out of that trade probably right now. So I'd probably just get out of that trade right now. Yeah, Jesus McKees just take the wheel. Exactly. Let me see. No one's got any questions. Let me talk about some charts from yesterday. Let's take a look at the charts. So here's the tickers from yesterday. Only 2 of them did not trade to the upside. Again, all of the recent breakout charts have been extremely bullish, and I've continued to talk about it since last week. All of these charts were entries today. OI, JJR mentioned the resistance that got broke earlier. I took the trend line trade. This is actually a trade we've taken multiple times on this chart. If you take a look at, we had a double bottom here. We had this wedge, this bottom triangle that happened from over here. Now, we get stuck underneath, but we actually ended up trading it up in here. If you look through here, this move, think about the retracement that's going to happen up in here. That's a trade that you just want to be a part of immediately. Aramex, we talked about earlier. Obviously, we don't need to go over it again, but this was a very nice trade. I expected a lot more to come here, but it wanted to bounce on the trend line. That should be very interesting tomorrow. Zixi, the same as OI, right? You take that trade from the resistance break, that's it. Home builders, again, DHI, we're looking for the break up here. SUZ, it's a yes-no trade, did a break. It certainly did not watch this, right? Do you see anything in here? No, you can't. That means there's nothing there, right? Nothing there. FWONK was, again, a yes-no. Did it break the level? Yes, take the trade. AGTC, this is nightmare fuel, whether you can take this trade or not. Here's the open. You take it on the trend line if you want. You're coming up into the supply. You got to make a decision whether you want to take that risk up to here. I didn't take this trade down here. I mean, it's lunchtime. I find it hard to take that trade. Maybe tomorrow here. Let's see. You guys are mentioning Chegg. Let's take a look. Chegg is up at 110. Let's see. 110 is what? Is that on the trend line here? 110 is going to be on the trend line tomorrow. Looks like it's going to open right up on the trend line. That is certainly interesting. This is now going to be, I might be able to post this tonight. Let's see. Can you get an ascending triangle in here? It's possible. This might be a little. No, you could probably get it in there. Maybe I'll post this chart tonight. I think we can post this chart, right? I mean, it doesn't really. Maybe from down here. I might post this chart tonight with that break, and then you see the significant price move after hours. Something like this. That's a really interesting break, actually. We were watching this quite a bit. We got the break on this trend line. We traded it up to the trend line from the neckline, right? If you guys remember, we took profit over there. But this trade is now, wow. Thank you, TradingView. Thank you. Good job. This certainly looks a lot different. If it's above the neckline, we're 100% taking that trade. Because, again, necklines from Head and Shoulders are just sort of a significant amount of supply. That right there, that looks pretty good. Let me see real quick if we can do this live. Oh, God, how do you get this channel? Wow, this is just ridiculous. Okay. Let's see. Yikes. Yikes. Oh, geez, look at that level up there, and you're gonna gap over it. Look at that gap over there, over the neckline as well. Wow. That's quite the break right there. If we use this as our level, I would probably put it with this trend line through here. So we want to put it through this right through there. So you got this. That's quite the move. Let's put this as this. Call that the neckline. That's quite the move. Let's see. This is 24 bars. Okay. 24 bars. Wow. Okay. What is this at? 110. 110. It's going to be something around here. That's pretty damn good looking. So you're going to have like an upper bound inside the channel here, and then the lower bound would be here on the neckline because it's parallel with the trend line here. So that looks pretty good. Good mention. I'd find it pretty hard to enter that trade today. So again, I wouldn't FOMO about missing whatever this is. And again, it may not even open up on the neckline, but we'll post that chart tonight. That looks pretty good. Again, see how quickly it took to find that? That took like 10 seconds to see this, right? You got the obvious inbound trend, the way this gap down over this channel. The channel continued here. Consolidation breaks you out of the pattern, and we knew there was a bit of a flag over here. We already had the trend line drawn. This came up into a trend line from here. We just redrew it here, right? So this looks like a pretty clear break. You got obvious wick touches up here converging. That looks like a let's get this going. This trend continuing is a significant amount of points. So again, if you look from this trend line to here where it started, that's basically the move that we're looking for up there, right? So that's a lot. That's certainly a lot. I like that trade a lot. We were certainly wanted to be a part of it before. Now we're certainly going to get a part of it now. Jimmy's at 60. Beautiful stuff, guys. Beautiful stuff. I don't even know what are they still trading this? I haven't looked at Wall Street Bets in a week. So are they still getting? Are they still holding, or does anybody know if they've moved on? Are they going to stick it to the hedge funds that don't care anymore? Or let's see. Let me see what AMC is doing. See, AMC looks good tomorrow. What's this at? 606. I think we pick up some AMC tomorrow. Get back involved. Again, this should be good for the long side. Hold on, where's the? Yeah. So here's the linear. I mean, this looks great. Looks like a great consolidation. I mean, probably take this tomorrow. You can probably take this tomorrow. Have $6 as your support. We'll see. Maybe at open, we'll see if we can get some fruity contracts in there. Get some. Like nothing ridiculous out in here because there's people bag holding up in here, but some February monthlies, right? We'll look for this tomorrow. I'm not going to look at WSB. I really don't care. So we'll see. And let's wrap this up with Bitcoin. Taking a look at Bitcoin today, we have some questions about whether Elon is going to cause some extra bid to come through from institution. It's hard to say whether. Let's see. This is basically pre-market, right? So pre-market starts on the equity market. That's when institutions get going. So you can see that this is 7:30, right? So you know this is institution. I mean, I don't know if this is who is it? Who knows? Who knows who it is? I mean, maybe that's actually Tesla. I mean, where is Tesla? If 1.5 billion was put on, this is them. This is either them, right? This is Tesla putting on 1.5 billion during pre-market hours on the equity market. Otherwise, where are they? Is it this them? When we were talking about it going into the other weekend, right? I mean, this is the Friday, right? Is this them over here when we talked about that break? Because I remember us talking about this. This is right before close. And let me make sure. That was right before close, right? Yeah, this is Friday. Yeah, this is Friday at 3:30. This is right before close, and we started to talk about it. And then I even put the poll out, are we going to reach all-time high here? Is this them? So if that's 1.5 billion, that did 4. This did about 12. This did almost 12% or so when that order got put on. So I would have to assume this is them, right? And then they took 2 weeks to, that would make sense, the 2-week delay to come out and say that they bought it. That would make sense. So if this is 1.5 billion, then this is another basically 1.5 billion, right, of new demand. So this can help us actually understand supply and demand. If this is about a 1.5 billion in demand, now we don't know if Tesla's actually telling the truth. We'll know when they do some sort of report on it, but it may not be the full truth. They may be having a lot more than 1.5. Maybe that's just like the first trade. Maybe this is both their trades. That other one's 1.5 and this is a different trade. But I think we can use what they said as a gauge. This is super important, guys, because we know institutions are getting involved, and now Tesla says they're involved. They just gave us a number. That's the first time we've got a number. 1.5, we can basically assume that one of these moves, which is it's basically 12% or so, is Tesla. Is 1.5 billion. So you can cause a 12% move with 1.5 billion. That gives us a gauge of how large the actual the supply and demand market actually is, right? So we're going to be able to continue to use this, because if there's a certain amount coming off, now we can use, if there's a 10% correction, now we'll know that that's over $1 billion. That's like 1.25 billion, something like that, right? So I think that's. I mean, it should be pretty interesting. Tesla tomorrow. I talked about it a little bit today. We're gonna need to wait tomorrow. Deciding candle. I don't think anything gets decided or anything like that. If it breaks above, then I mean, I would say it broke out of its consolidation. Whoops. I would say that it doesn't necessarily need to decide tomorrow. For instance, it could just sit right in this level, continue tightening, right? It could just continue tightening in here. If we continue this trend line, we're going to wait for the breakout on this trade. Was sort of what I was talking about. You want to just wait for this break. And we've always waited for the break on Tesla. We've never preempted moves. We've gotten a little fruity on some of these pullbacks, and it was full consolidation in here, so we get stuck. Didn't lose anything. And then we tried again. None of them really getting in there. So if tomorrow the move happens, that it's going to move through these like 2 levels or something, and it's going to gap through here, right? We were talking a lot about these 2 inbound trend lines. If it moves through them, then absolutely we're going to take the trade. But not during, you don't like put the risk on during the week unless it breaks, and it's so liquid. Like Tesla's so liquid that even if you're 30 seconds late, you'll have time to go get in there before it takes off, right? So I would say just remain out of position until it moves. LSU says bullish on Faye. We bought Faye down at the support down here, so I'm bullish in the. Oh, he's not in here. I always forget. I'm bullish on the fact that it's probably going to trade back up to resistance here. So we bought down at 20. Let me reply to him. We bought at 20. See you, Brian. See you guys. Those of you that are heading out, obviously have a great night. I'll see you in the morning. I'm going to reply to some questions in here. We bought at 20 and are expecting price to swing back to 23.75. So short-term bullish. Okay. Let's see. Do we have any other questions in here that I should talk about on here? I don't know. Maybe we'll leave it to another day. Anybody got anything else here? Or we can call it. What an awesome day. What another great day here. I mean, this is the day. This is certainly the day. It's going to change a lot. It changes our understanding of all of this move. Again, 11% cents over here is insane. It's a lot of points, guys. I mean, that's a lot of points. Cops are coming. All right, guys. I'm going to start looking at charts. There's probably going to be quite a... Yeah, here comes the windbreakers, unfortunately. That was actually a really loud car. Holy shit. There's probably going to be a lot of charts tonight. So, again, I've been saying that a lot of the charts are super bullish right now. So keep that in mind. You have a lot of options, right? Holy shit, they might actually be coming for me, guys. They're right underneath me. All right, I better run, and I'll put a hoodie on or something and walk out of the building. Either way, probably a lot of charts tonight. Please watch for the short-term patterns. Watch for the short-term patterns. Those are going to be very important because I'm going to be posting a lot of those different ones that we might be reversing on some of the charts that do look like this based on the pattern. So look for those. So if you're in one of those positions that you're mindful that you might get a bit of a reversal on some of those charts. And again, if you're in a short-term position, you got to be sensitive and take profit on those. Don't be a hero. Put those into a new position, right? So I think I'm going to post something tonight about transitioning positions because I got a lot of questions. So watch out for that as well. That will be out. That I'm just going to talk like on a chart or something and post it. So I'll have that. Enjoy your night, your morning, your evening, wherever the hell you are. I'll see you in the morning. I'm excited for tomorrow. More buying, more money, more everything. So see you then, guys. Enjoy.